Welcome everybody, Radar23 here, time for another addition to the Boom Beach Playbook. Today we're going to be doing an Outworks core rush. So let's have a look at Angry Rami. She's rocking 5-5, she's 1% off a perfect troop damage lineup. Everything else is perfect. So let's check it out. So Angry Rami reckons there's normally two sort of approaches that we can take for the Outworks core rush. Usually it's either 6 o'clock, I definitely want to see that one. I haven't seen it before and I want to be adding it to the playbook at some stage. But we are going to be looking at the 9 o'clock core rush, which is sort of just between the sniper tower and the mortar, and a little bit forwards of that. So we've already taken out the left shields, the top shields, and we are ready for a core rush. The previous attackers have bartered out these mines here to get the top mines, but also going to help us out a lot for the rush. These mines here are both maxed, and we have no troop health. So if we hit them, it's going to be game over for a bunch of Zookas. There is, let me see, 6, so that's 12, 13, 15. There's about 1.5 mil on the core. I think it was just under that with 20 buildings already taken out. So let's see how Rami's gonna do it. She's starting off with a flare land. And Rami did say that she had enough for, if all of the mines weren't clear, she had enough GBE for 2 artillery. So that could have been really clutch. If all of these mines needed clearing still, then we would obviously need to be gathering cells and all the rest of it. But so she had enough for 2 extra artillery. I believe she put them on the core afterwards. So this flare here is very critical. She had a perfect flare landing, but we need the tightest group that we can have so we can be a little bit more spread with our smokes. Even with the most perfect flare landing, you're still going to have the length of 13 Zookas coming off the boat. So you want to be flaring high off the beach. The smoke is obviously there for that first rocket launcher, and so we want to be flaring just above the beach, just far enough for the Zookas to sort of converge, and you can see that they'll converge here, and they'll be a lot easier to manage on the smoke up, on the path up. So there we go, the grappler's fired off, that's fine. Obviously if this grappler was doing less damage than the Zooka's health, then that would be an issue because we'd be losing a delay on a whole bunch of rocket launchers. Delay is going to be key for this hit. You put yourself under a lot more pressure if you don't have that delay. So we've been going from just right of this main line on the ground here is where we started, and we have now flared up just to the left of these 3 power cells. The reason I'm sort of stressing these flare points is because of these max mines, we've got very little room for error, and obviously we don't want to be losing delay. So here we go, we've got a medkit on the barbed wire, keep us going through there. Don't want to be using a shock because we're going to be using a bunch of shocks at the core. See how the Zookas have already sort of spread quite a lot lengthways. Very, very risky with the smokes there. Rami knows what she's doing, and she's just waiting just long enough for the Zookas to sort of group up. The reason that they sort of spread out long ways is because of that barbed wire. So if that barbed wire was shocked, they would have just walked straight through, would have stayed nice and grouped, but they've got to take their time going through, and for some reason it just spreads them all out. So here we go. This next flare is probably the most critical placement. So it's right on that line. It looks like it's in the upper pixel belonging to the sniper and mortar, if you know what I mean. Just between the sniper and mortar, that pixel closest to the core. And then we're looking at this Zooka pathing. Going to go either side of that middle fuel cell, power cell, get the med kit out. And then she's got, I don't know why it doesn't do the last 2 smokes at the same time. I mean, it would just make me feel a little bit better, because then that's that double smoke factor if the Zookas spread out the back a bit, but Rami goes with a single smoke, and just look at how tightly grouped they are. I mean, I can never do this. There's nothing tagged, nothing is damaged around here. If someone had, say, cleared these mines and damaged the sniper tower, it would obviously affect the way that the Zookas are going to spread. If you're the second rusher, someone might have thrown some critters or not flared the core in time, or for whatever reason one of these defenses is damaged, they're not going to group the same as they are right now. But Rami manages to get them all under one smoke, and then timing is critical here. We got critters and we got shocks, and we got a ton of both, and that's going to be our most critical point. So here we go, let's see how Rami does it the first time. So we flare onto the core. As we can see, we've got 2 critters coming out. One onto this section here, and we've got 1 shock. Not worrying about this rocket launcher on the left. And we've definitely got the hot pot as high priority, and the mortar. And then we've got those critter shocked right there. They actually aren't shocked, but that's fine. And this group here have also got some critters in them for these rocket launchers up top. All of these rocket launchers are all going to be firing into those critters as well as these mortars. And we're just getting the rest of these smoke shocks out now for the rocket launcher on the left and shock launcher on the right. So obviously we don't want to be throwing the critters too close to the flamethrower because they're just going to burn straight through, or the hot pot, same thing. And these machine guns are laying into these critters as well. But that's all good. We're hammering the core. And we're getting the relay. We got 2 artillery. And I believe we got some relay of critters coming in, maybe. Or did I miss that? They might have already come out. So those shocks are expiring now. And there's no way we're going to have any more time to do anything. Get 1 more shot off, and then all the Zookas are down. So great hit from Rami. We said there was 1.5, just under 1.5. So she probably did about 1.2, 1.3 on this hit. So there we go. Let's have one more look. And Rami's given me a few suggestions for where her critters may have been better. So let's speed it up until we get to the actual core rush itself. So we've got that nice grouping flare high on the beach, which is really handy on many maps. And then this perfect placement of flares right in there. So now, Rami reckons she would have done more damage if the left critter was on the lower right mortar in the quad. So this is a quad mortar, lower right, or lower right. And the left and the right mortar, right critters should have been on the 2 middle sniper towers of this 6 group. So let's check out where that ties in with where they actually went. So these critters were slightly high, should have been a little bit lower on that mortar, and these critters were obviously on the boom cannon instead of the sniper tower. So they wouldn't have got as waxed by the flamethrower and would have provided a little bit more separation. I don't know, Rami, that's getting pretty picky. So Rami reckons that 6 o'clock would have been a better rush for this one. It would have been 6 shocks and no critters, and that way she would have had just all damage for those 6 shocks. And she reckons she would have taken it down. And I mean, I'd love to see that. I don't want to get that replay. So show me the money. That's all we got to say for this rush. Remember all those key points. There's a bunch of shocks. If you do lose the delay, obviously you're going to have to shock a lot earlier. And all those critters are going to have to be earlier. Everything's just going to have to be really early. So you're going to get less damage on the core, but that's fine. Better to shock really early and get sort of 3/4 of the damage that you would have got, rather than shock the same time and get like none, because all your Zookas are dead immediately because the rocket launcher is already looking at you. So nice work, Angry Rami. That is Outworks core rush from 9 o'clock. It works for a 5-5 player. 6-4 would obviously work. They'd have the GBE for it as well. If you did have to clear more mines, you might have to go and get some cells, but that's all good. So yeah, comment down below how you're finding Outworks, whether it's causing you any issues or whether you got some alternative tactics. And give us a thumbs up if you liked the video, thumbs down if you didn't, and subscribe for more Boom Beach!